the way I'm going when I hear her blowing. The railroad's coming to town. Idle-dee-dee-dee-dee. 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 Idle-dee-dee-dee-dee.
The winning of the West was a colorful story of cowboys and Indians. But those of us who lived through it know that the West was tamed with the coming of the railroads, those strong, thin bands of steel that tied west to east. Yep, the West was won by the mighty Iron Horse.
Nickname for the first transcontinental train.
It authorized two companies, the Central Pacific, building out of Sacramento, California, and the Union Pacific, building out of Omaha, Nebraska.
Two rails every 30 seconds, one on each side. 4 rails to the minute. 3 strokes per spike, 10 spikes per rail. 400 rails to the mile. It's 1,800 miles to San Francisco. 21 million times I got to swing those hammers. Listen to that sound.
Won't you ring your hammer, hammer me? Won't you ring your hammer, hammer?
Yes, sirree. The West owes a big thank you to those men. The men known as the Gandhi Dancers.
In the East, the Union Pacific Railroad workers were rushing ahead on the flat plains. But their path was intruding on other people's land. This was home to the Cheyenne, Sioux, Arapaho, and many other American Indian tribes. To conquer the western frontier, the United States government forced American Indians off their land. And the buffalo that Native Americans depended on for food, clothing, and shelter were being hunted to extinction by the newcomers.
All aboard, we're westward bound, and that's the way I'm going when I hear the blowing. The railroad's coming to town.
When it was time to move on, buildings would be knocked down and taken by rail to the next site.
Bull's Big Tent was a full-service establishment. They had almost every kind of gambling game that anyone could desire to play. In the back, there were cubicles that were partitioned with canvas for the women to transact business with their customers. And then a doctor announced that he had established offices in the rear of Bull's Big Tent and specialized in the treatment of sexually transmitted diseases.
By the spring of 1866, the Central Pacific had only gone 68 miles from Sacramento. Most impossible of all seemed to be the solid granite of the Sierra Nevada.
The mountains posed a great challenge for engineers. But laborers from China did most of the hard work for low pay, blasting through mountains and tunneling through rocky terrain. As the railroads drew closer, laborers were pushed to work faster. Even more money was now being awarded for each mile of completed track.
10 miles in a day. Ain't never been done.
That is what they say about the Great Wall.
Setting a historic record, Chinese workers laid 10 miles of track in a single day.
And in 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad was completed at Promontory Point.
Governor of California and President of the Central Pacific, will strike the first blow at the Golden Spike.
I'll be glad to.
So it gives me great pleasure to connect these two great sections of the North American continent.
Where did that Golden Spike go?
I'm gonna drive a Golden Spike where your Union meets your Central Pacific. Stop.
And I'm returning it to the railroad. And now, sir, you may drive in the Golden Spike.
You missed the spike. Look, now Mr. Durant
The Union Pacific
is going to try. Good grief, he missed it too.